we have a new standalone DLC in SnowRunner, the Mack Dual Pack. With this DLC, you can get your hands on two new trucks, Mack TerraPro and Mack Pinnacle. The Mack TerraPro is a highway truck and the Mack Pinnacle is a heavy-duty truck. Let's start with the TerraPro first. With the Mack TerraPro, you have access to a truck with good power-to-weight ratio, a raised suspension, and you can have 47-inch tires. You have diff lock always on, but you don't have access to all-wheel drive. The fuel tank capacity of this truck is 280 liters and you have access to an extra 100 liters of fuel on the roof rack plus 200 repair parts. Now for the add-ons, you have access to I think all the normal add-ons in the game. But other than that, you have access to two new unique add-ons. The TerraPro sideboard bed, which comes with a spare wheel, and the long TerraPro sideboard bed. This one doesn't come with a spare wheel. Now the performance of this truck. I've already mentioned this truck don't have all-wheel drive and you can really feel the lack of all-wheel drive in some situations. This truck is definitely not a useless truck. You can use it in some places, but things are going to be a bit rough or a bit more time consuming. You have to use your winch more or you have to crawl in mud or things like that. And one of the things that is really like the biggest enemy of trucks without the all-wheel drive is bumpy ground. Things like rocks or trees or things like that on the road are really great at stopping a truck without all-wheel drive. So if you want to use this truck, make sure you're avoiding those kind of areas. Avoid rocks, avoid trees. Going through just mud with this truck is doable but a bit more time consuming. But if you add some rocks in there, then it's going to get really difficult. So the overall performance of this truck is not that great in my opinion. Now for the tires, as I've mentioned, you have access to 47-inch tires. You have access to OHD tires, but maybe I'm wrong. The unique tires that come with this truck are actually really good. The Mack ZES tires, from my tests, actually does a better job than the OHD tires. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the ZES tires are better for this truck. And the same goes for the Mack Pinnacle. Now the add-on combinations. You cannot have the crane and the long bed at the same time on this truck. If you go for the long bed, you can still attach trailers to your truck. If you go for the crane and normal size bed, you can still attach a trailer to your truck. And for logging, you can have the log crane plus the short logging add-on or the log carrier front at the same time on this truck. But you cannot have the log crane with the medium logging add-on on this truck. And here is the sound of the engine of the Mack TerraPro. Now for the Mack Pinnacle. Like Mack TerraPro and Mack Defense, you have access to the same engines. With Mack Pinnacle, you have access to raised suspension and 46-inch tires. You have access to switchable diff lock and no all-wheel drive. I think this is the only heavy-duty truck in the game that doesn't have all-wheel drive. The fuel tank capacity of Mack Pinnacle is 350 liters of fuel. Plus you have an extra 140 liters of fuel on the roof rack with 300 repair parts. And you can have up to 4 spare wheels with the Mack Pinnacle. Now the performance of Mack Pinnacle is a bit disappointing. Sometimes I even feel like the Mack TerraPro has better performance than Mack Pinnacle. The Mack Pinnacle has good handling. It's not that slow, it's not that fast. It's really, driving it is not that bad. But again, when you hit the mud, in some situations, you really feel the lack of all-wheel drive. The performance of Mack Pinnacle is pretty similar to Mack TerraPro, so anything I said for the Mack TerraPro goes for the Pinnacle too. The performance is not that great in harsh terrain, especially when the road is bumpy or you need to drive over rocks or things like that. And even though this truck has a unique logging crane and medium and short logging add-ons, I personally don't recommend using it for logging since the truck is not that stable. There is a good chance you tip over when you're logging with the Mack Pinnacle. If you really want to use it for logging, stick to the short logs and not medium logs. Now the add-ons of Mack Pinnacle. Again, you have access to all the normal add-ons that you have in a SnowRunner, which is a good thing. You have access to long bed add-ons, but you cannot have the crane and the long bed add-on at the same time on your truck. But if you go for the long bed add-on, you can attach a trailer to your truck. Here is the good part about Mack Pinnacle. When you have the crane and the normal size bed on the truck, you cannot attach a trailer to this truck. I think it's a bug since the game is telling you something is blocking it, but like, what is blocking it? You can attach a trailer to this truck when you have the long bed add-on. You cannot do it with the crane and the normal size bed. If you get rid of the crane, you can attach a trailer to this truck when you have the normal size bed. Now for the logging add-ons, you have a medium and short logging add-on which are unique for Mack Pinnacle. Plus you have a Pinnacle log crane. Now when you have the Pinnacle log crane, you cannot have the roof rack. So you need to choose between the Pinnacle log crane or the roof rack. You cannot have them both at the same time. That log crane is really good though, it's a really good log crane. There is nothing wrong with it. The logging add-ons are really good too, but overall I just don't really recommend this truck for logging. If you want to use this truck for logging, maybe just go for the short logs. And this is the sound of the engine of Mack Pinnacle. And that's the Mack Dual Pack. I'm a bit disappointed with the Mack Pinnacle. I wanted this truck to be a bit better, the performance of this truck. Comparing to something like Kenworth C500, the Pinnacle is just not as good as the Kenworth C500 in my opinion. I think the main focus for these two trucks was the add-ons. Both have unique add-ons and both of them have access to many different add-ons. That's a good thing, but the performance in my opinion is not that great. So if you really like Mack trucks or these two Mack trucks in particular, you can go for it. Buy this DLC, use these trucks, have fun. But if you don't care about the trucks and you want something that has good performance, I personally don't recommend these two trucks. I would give the Mack Dual Pack DLC a 4.5 out of 10. And that's it for today's video. I see you in the next one.